it's interesting as time goes on that uh, you never know where people know you from. Of course, people don't know you from things at all, too. So you never know what's going to happen with these things.
Well, I'll tell you, my favorite performance of yours was in Willard. That was just a
Okay.
fantastic movie that not enough people talk about, especially in the horror community.
Okay. Yeah, that was an enjoyable character to play. Yeah.
Well, I guess I got a few questions prepared. I watched Blind Bargain actually yesterday, so
Good.
I guess I could say Blind Bargain is a very unique film, especially the
Okay.
history behind it with the
Yeah.
original Lon Chaney picture and then the original Masters burning. Now that you've known for playing so many different memorable characters, what drew you to this role?
Well, I've been talking to a number of people about really one of the things, not only the script, but I was happy that it was going to be shot on film. This particular film was shot on Super 16, uh, which is a fantastic format, particularly right now with high resolution digital. Super 16 is a beautiful format. A lot of people, I grew up, of course, watching film, and digital is a newer thing. So I can see the difference between something that's shot on film and digital. And I'm not anti-digital, but if something is shot on film, that's a particular plus. The grain pattern of film as opposed to pixels and the way color adheres to film is different, and you can feel it. Um, I know it, and I've I'm a filmmaker myself, and I've shot all of my films on film. My first two films I toured with from 2005 to 2020 when the pandemic happened. I toured in the United States, Canada, Europe, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, with 35 millimeter prints of my film. For the most part, I was going to venues that were 35 millimeter venues, which less and less places are showing 35 now, and more cinemas are projecting DCP, which I'm not anti-DCP, but there is something about film projection as well that's different from digital projection. Although, if you've shot on film, your film negative has the grain pattern that will be captured within the 4K digital projection, and that still has a film quality. But then the extra film quality on top of that is if you have the film print struck and then you're projecting that from the uh, standard film projector, which I did from 2005 to 2020 with my first two films. What is it? And everything is, it is fine. Everything is fine. I'm about to start touring with a new film I've been working on for many years that I shot on 35 millimeter film negative. I'm going to be at the IFC. There might be another venue in New York before this, but it's going to be in October, uh, October 10th through a minimum of October 14th, maybe a little bit longer. I'll be there. I perform a live show. I've never put my films out digitally. I have kept them exclusively in cinemas. And I perform a live show of books that I've made from older books from the 1800s. They're profusely illustrated. I do a dramatic narration of the books. Then I present the film. Then the feature film plays. Then I have a Q&A, and then I have a book signing after that. I did that for 15 years straight. The pandemic happened. I stopped touring with those films, knowing that I would be ready with the new film. It took a while, but I am going to be touring with it October. Oh, so after the IFC, then I'll be in Los Angeles, in Santa Monica, through the American Cinematheque at the Aero Theater in That will be on October 18th and 19th. I'll return to Los Angeles also through the American Cinematheque at an undetermined date in December at the Egyptian Theater. That's also where I've played since 2005. The IFC I've played since 2007. And then I'll be at the Music Box Theater, I believe right after I'm at the Arrow on, I think it's the 20, I think the 23rd, 22nd at the Music Box. But in any case, people can sign up for on crispinglover.com, my website. They can sign up for the newsletter, and it will email whenever I'm having these shows. People can check the site, but the best thing to do is sign up for crispinglover.com, and then they'll know where it is. But this is I'm passionate about my own filmmaking, and when other people, and I say filmmaking as opposed to movie making because there is the difference of shooting on film.
Absolutely.
And Blind Bargain is a film shot on film. So that was one of the things Paul and I talked about, and I'm happy it was shot on film. And I'm sure with even I haven't seen the film yet, but I know without having seen it, it will look like film because it was shot on Super 16. The thing about the 16 versus 35, which is actually I mean, 35 is the gold standard in a way, or it's the standard that's for the past 100 years that's been the most films, feature films have been shot on 35, but there's even larger film formats, IMAX, but 30,
Hmm.
there's many of them, but 35 is sort of the gold standard, but 16 comes from originally a home movie format, but Super 16 is when the one sprocket is removed and it widens the aspect ratio, making it more rectangular. But something about this, the grain pattern is what you says film. So when you're blowing up 16, you're actually seeing more grain. And with the technology of film, the actual film negative, it continues to get better. But what better means is that the pixels are less easy to see. So when you're using Super 16 or regular 16 and you're blowing it up, you're actually seeing the pixels more. I mean, not the pixels, the grains more, which you want if you're
Yeah.
looking for the film grain pattern. So it's not a lesser format. They're both good for different reasons. They're both great for different reasons. And I'm not anti-digital, but film, if you can shoot on film, it's really beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm a big proponent for physical media, as you can see.
Yeah,
And I love talking about it on my channel because everyone, when they get into like the newer formats, like 4K and all that, they're like, no, I want to buy these big blockbuster Avengers, this and that. I'm like, no, that's not what you want to get on 4K. You want to get The Shining. You want to get
yeah,
Jaws. You want to get A Clockwork Orange because
yeah,
that's where you're really going to see a difference. Like the film
yes,
quality is unbelievable.
absolutely. I totally agree.
So here's another one. A Blind Bargain really fits into like several horror and sci-fi subgenres. What is your favorite genre to work in?
Yeah, it's funny. People are asking me a lot. I don't really pick genres. Genres tend toward picking me. Uh, Although if I really had a preference to choose, I would pick a genre that really isn't something that is that popular. I would say surrealism with the capital
Hmm.
S, but that's not something. Some of the great filmmakers like Kubrick use surrealistic aspects within his films. Luis Buñuel, would be with a capital S, the a surrealist filmmaker. David Lynch, who sadly, of course, died earlier this year. People call him an American surrealist, I suppose, with a small s. And I worked with David Lynch, and he was involved in my own filmmaking. He put in a kind of an autobiographical book that he wrote. One chapter was him writing, and the other chapter was uh, Christine McKenna that would be writing a biographical chapter. And he wrote in it that he had executive produced What Is It? My first film, which is actually accurate, but there was a miscommunication. I would have been advertising that since 2005, but I went and showed him the film. The he had agreed to executive produce a different screenplay called It Is Mine, which would become a third part. My new film is not part 3 of the trilogy. People have known about it, but David Lynch was going to be the executive producer of It Is Mine. What Is It was going to be a short film to promote that. I went over to his house and I showed him the film, and he sat and watched it smoking a cigarette. At the end, he said, "I dig it, I dig it, I dig it." But he didn't say he wanted to executive produce it, and he and I didn't have a formal contract, but he was so helpful, so supportive. And I'm sad because, well, he knew that I had communicated with him the miscommunication, but I would have been saying that David Lynch had executive produced What Is It. I just didn't know that he probably thought when I showed him What Is It that it was It Is Mine. But we didn't have a direct communication about it, so it was just a miscommunication. But he's great. Anyhow, so I would still call him a small S surrealist, because he wasn't a formal member of the capital S surrealists of Paris in the 20s and 30s. And if you read Louis Buñuel's autobiography, he goes into the political aspects of what surrealism was about, which I deeply understand at this point. It's a very strange thing, but anyhow, that would be the genre I would choose. But I wouldn't have a career as an actor, because hardly any movies are made in that. I can't even call it a genre. It's such a minute sort of filmmaking. I like to employ it in my own filmmaking. What Is It probably has aspects of the precursor to surrealism being Dada, but all of my films have some aspect of surrealism within them.
Okay. What's one director or actor that you've always wanted to work with, but you've never had the opportunity?
I'll never have the opportunity to work with Todd Browning, and that's a silent filmmaker, probably best known for having directed Freaks,
Okay.
and the Dracula is his most famous film, the original one with Bela Lugosi and with well, that famous one, Pre-Code. But his greatest film is Freaks. That's an unsurpassed. I mean, there's so many great filmmakers that are dead. Kubrick, who wouldn't want to
Oh,
work with Stanley
man.
Kubrick? Uh, I could go on and on. Yeah. I mean, there are living filmmakers that I'd like to work with, but I tend toward liking to talk about the filmmakers of the past.
I gotcha. So you're more of a student of classic film than you are more so the modern era
Well,
of directors.
there are some great filmmakers making films right now, but it takes time for those to filter through what's what is and isn't a great filmmaking. I used to when I was in my teens and early 20s, I would go see every single film that was in release. And I lived off of Hollywood Boulevard in my early 20s, most of my 20s. And I would go to all the films in Hollywood Boulevard that were playing on Hollywood Boulevard. I'd look at in the LA Weekly and see what films, and if something was missing on Hollywood Boulevard, I'd go to Westwood and see the film. There was like a year or two where I was seeing absolutely everything when I was 18, 19, 20, about 20. And I gained information from that. I could gather stuff, even if it wasn't what would be considered a good film. I could gather things. Now I really want to. I'm so very selective. I watch almost nothing at this point, and I tend toward. I just watched. It took me a long time to see it, but they had the 70 millimeter print of Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master, which I had always meant to see. He shot that on film, and it was playing at the Academy Museum in Los Angeles. This was just I don't know, a couple months ago. and I'd meant to see it when it came out. I just never got around to it. But that was a beautifully made contemporary film. And the performances, both by Philip Seymour Hoffman and by Joaquin Phoenix, and all of the actors in the very interesting film. I feel like that's his best film. I was really impressed, but it took me years to see it. I only just
Yeah.
saw that within this last year. I very much enjoyed it. I'm trying to go see films projected. My favorite place to go see films is the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and I'll go there and see. The, right now, I would be there. They have a silent film curation right now. I would be there watching it if I were in New York, but I'm acting in a film. I'm in a hotel room in Illinois right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
I should say movie. This one is the one I'm acting in is being shot digitally. I feel like it sounds kind of funny, but I feel like people should update their vocabulary to a film like my own films or uh, the film that we're promoting right now or shot on film.
Hmm.
Whereas if you're shooting a movie, a motion picture shot digitally, that's a movie as opposed to a film. It's just a slight discrepancy, but there is a difference. I feel like we
Yeah.
should, as a cinematic society, we should update our vocabulary to differentiate if something's a movie, a digital motion picture, which is fine. There's nothing bad about that. There are great movies shot digitally, or if something's a film shot on celluloid.
Yeah.
Blind Bargain is shot on celluloid. My own films are shot on film. And there's certain filmmakers, Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master is shot on glorious 70 millimeter, or at least
Oh
the
yeah.
projection is on 70 millimeter. I assume that's, and there you can take so many formats and do different things. I'm not sure what exact format they shot it in, but beautiful production design, really a nice movie.